Prolog to the Wanderer of the Realms, Book 11 of The Silent One by James Mandolare. A Soldier's Death. A soldier died in the war against the sea witch Wencia and her navies. He fought for his island kingdom and his honorable king, King Galen, and was fatally wounded by a blunt club that caved in his skull. He was blasted by the white light of pain as the club impacted cruelly on his skull, smashing it to bloody pieces. It was as if he was clubbed right out of his body with the blow. He suddenly and instantly lost all pain and floated up into the sky through the smoke and fire of the battle. He saw the battlefield falling further away below for an instant. Then he felt the irresistible pull of a powerful wind as a gray tornado appeared and swept him up in a swirling gray tunnel. He found himself without a body, as a glowing orb flying through the tornado's calm and silent core toward a presence that touched his mind. Then he saw the living, loving light ahead at the end of the tunnel. He felt it. He knew it. Like him, it was made of pure light, and like him, it was alive. And it was human, and they knew each other, and loved each other. He had no choice or will or desire to do anything but embrace that light. He flew into it as a lover flies into the arms of their beloved. The horror and violence of the battle faded as he rose above the smoke and fire, and it all dropped away in that embrace of loving radiance. His fatal head wound no longer hurt him, as he felt a familiar feeling he had never felt before in human life, that he belonged here, and was at last returning to his true self, an orb of ever-living consciousness. He was home, the Silent One, without thought or desire, all-knowing, all-loving, all-powerful, all-creative, exploded on the mind of the poor soldier and washed away all the fear and the pain of his hard life. In an instant of that light was all the past and all the future, and the soldier's short life flashed before him. In a flash of light that hit his awareness was a whole thought. In a moment, the many infinite connections and layers of this thought exploded instantly on his awareness. He saw more and more of the influence and connections that spread out from his actions. Every kindness and sacrifice was examined in a blast of instant knowing. His good works blessed the world in uncountable tiny and large ways, and on it went, making life easier for those he loved, and through them for people he had never known. His horrible brutality and selfishness and ignorance and hatred paraded before him too, and he felt each wound and every hurt he had ever inflicted, and he saw how that hurt passed on, reverberating in infinite ways through people's lives, hurting many others, as its brutality and unkindness spread out in all directions, wrecking its way through people's lives as the pain and grief grew and changed with everyone it touched. He stood at one in the total love and acceptance and understanding of that perfected light, and saw himself murder the hated foe, and rape the innocent, and kill his many enemies in his frenzied fight to stay alive in a world full of brutality and violence and vice. The soldier turned away from the blinding power of this light in shame for his many crimes and brutal acts of violence and blood, lust, hate, and horror. Then he began to see himself back through the many layers of time, killing, fighting, and dying millions of times before. He heard the hateful speeches denouncing a million enemies as beasts, from kings and generals and noble lords, officers and lawyers. His heart swelled to thousands of years of noble causes and songs and clever slogans, and the centuries upon centuries of drums beating for war 1,000 times. He saw the futility and waste of it, the morbid violence, the everlasting sorrow and grief of it, all played over and over and over throughout history. Militant empires killed and conquered and expanded ever outward, only to fall in on themselves and crumble into dust again and again. He instantly understood that he was manipulated and used by powerful men for their own greed for gold and blood and power. He saw oceans of innocent blood and tears, and he knew that the roots of his own terrible crimes went deep into the longer consequences of history, as civilizations rose and fell through infinite incarnations of grief, sorrow, war, and despair. Through it all, the blame slowly dropped away in the flooding light of forgiveness and unconditional love in this timeless place of bliss. As he surrendered his own thoughts and feelings to the light, and let the light become his own mind, he felt the totality of the cosmic mind. He was lost in an eternity of the dreams of lifetimes that unfolded before him like 1,000 heart-wrenching stories of loss and sorrow and brutality. He saw that, over and over again, throughout millions of lifetimes, he had suffered and died as a soldier. He simply knew, without need for thoughts or feelings or any focus of singular being, that here and now he was the universe itself, complete and total and all-loving, a living, loving light of perfected consciousness, at one with all consciousness everywhere throughout the ever-present instant of eternal time. He was one with every life that lived in all creation, and all the life in it was one with him. He was awed by the vision of the true cosmos, stars and planets swirling around and around. He saw the spinning galaxies and galaxy threads spread out through an inconceivably vast infinity. He knew it was all alive with awareness and being on many levels. He saw an infinity of other universes spreading out and out forever, in billions of big bangs, creating the multiverse of limitless possibilities. He saw a vision he tried to understand and process of the universe of universes, infinite stars of consciousness, flashing as static sparks on a vibrating, waving blanket of cosmic energy. He knew he was one with all things, and could not understand the one all-powerful remaining desire that he discovered in the light. He felt it, a longing and loneliness so devastating and sad. The cosmic mind was lonely and desperately needed him. It wanted something from him. In the total love and peace of that totality of the cosmic mind's embrace was one remaining and all-encompassing need to live again and face the challenge, to know what his life could have been if war had not robbed him of his joy and his better future. The soldier agreed that a peaceful and decent and honorable lifetime would have been nice to live, instead of 1,000,000 lifetimes of grisly and violent death in blood and fire on the endless battlefield. His mind expanded in awe of the galaxies and stars, but he imagined for himself a simple moment in a sweet and peaceful life in a garden of delight with good friends and happy children. He saw a golden moment of that future possibility as his inner vision presented him with a vision, and he felt the awe and bliss of a quiet day yet to be. He saw a future version of himself sitting on a bench with a young boy in a golden orange afternoon. Long and wide green lawns and flower beds and vegetable and herb gardens spread out all around him at the height of a sunny and warm summer. The young boy was singing a song. The cosmic mind appeared to the soldier as his long-gone grandfather, a beloved and gentle man of his childhood. Will you go back and live again for me?